Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that says, ask your doctor if the opposite of left is right for you. It's Dale.
That's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, you ever turned left and been right?
I have.
Yeah.
Or correct.
Yeah.
Turn left and be
Sometimes
correct.
I just sit up at night looking at commercials just to try to find out stuff to ask my doctor.
God dang. You desperate today.
Yeah, I am desperate. It makes you laugh anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm Dale's humor.
Yeah.
What's going on today, dude?
Guard. Oh, not the same old, huh?
Definitely not the same old.
Pretty wild morning.
We've got an update on the Asha Degree case, but before we get it going on that, you got any good shout outs anybody want to talk about?
Man, look at there.
Look at there.
Look at
It just keeps on clapping.
It just keeps on clapping. When you're happy, you're happy. When you're happy, you know it. That's right. Don't be turning around over there. We got a brand new Apple 5-star podcast review. Comes in from L. McGovern.
L. McGovern.
And like in the letter L, not like E-L-L-E. So
just L.
L McGovern. Yeah. Love this podcast, exclamation point. Says, I now live in Newbern in eastern North Carolina, but grew up in Cherville, that is Cherville, and / Lincoln. And I gotta say, hearing the back home accent, even I'm just a few hours away, and the local references is refreshing and warms my homesick soul.
Man.
Y'all do such a great job narrating cases and explaining things while also entertaining. Keep it up, and cheersing, his word, or L's word, cheersing a Sundrop and a Bridges barbecue sandwich to y'all.
I like to have a Bridges barbecue sandwich right now.
I'm going to have to go get us a hot dog.
Man.
I don't know if Z Red Bridges or Alston Bridges.
Yeah. They even won Bridges barbecue. That's Alston's.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're trying to separate the following.
Separate the following.
I like them both. Well, let's go with that.
Well, actually, they both got their own good qualities.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But if you want a hot dog, you got to go to Alston's.
Man, they got the best hot dogs.
Yeah.
They do. They really
They
do.
do.
And they got a good Sundrop, too.
They do.
Yeah.
Big tea.
Yeah. I've had that Eastern barbecue down there at Newbern where she's at.
Yeah. Now it's good?
No, it ain't as good.
You're spoiled, ain't you?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely
These
spoiled.
Bridges folks spoil us around here.
They do. They really do.
And both of them are damn good.
Yep. But if anybody else wants to be like L. McGovern and go to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating review, you certainly can, and we'll give you a big old shout out when you do.
Or you can go to Bridges and get you a sandwich.
Oh, man.
We have to go down there to get this.
Go get a hot dog.
Yeah.
And a half and half.
Yeah, half and half.
Got to get a half and half.
That's a hush puppies and fries for you local folks.
Yeah, they're in the same little tray. Yeah, but it's a half hush puppies and half fries.
Yeah, it's fancy.
Yeah.
But it's damn good.
It comes in a little cardboard paper carton. But it's,
with them red and white checks on it.
yeah, that makes it even better.
Get that and a couple hot dogs and a quart tea.
Yeah, you got to have a quart sweet tea.
No lemon.
Yep.
Anyway, don't get
All right,
sidetracked.
after that,
go eat now.
And they are not a sponsor, by the way.
Yeah, they could be.
But after this short break, Dale, we're going to get going on this Asha Degree update.
Woo, let's do it.
All right, bud, we're back.
We are back.
And, man, we've had a heck of a morning.
Woo, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we had another episode planned for today to record, but we got a message first thing this morning from our good buddy, David James.
David James coming through again.
Yeah, he said, man, there's some stuff going on over on you guys on the Asha Degree case.
Right over the road.
Yeah. This took place at the highway. Well, actually, this took place at the intersection of North Carolina Highway 274 and North Carolina 182.
Correct.
And this is where law enforcement, they ascended upon.
Say that again.
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them.
And we showed up.
We did. He let us know, and Donnie texted me and goes, hey, let's ride over there. I said, hell, I'm going out the door. So I just swung by and picked you up like I was a school bus or something.
Yeah, and I was standing there on the side of the road with a little kid, just standing there waiting for Dale.
All you needed was your $6 million man lunchbox. You'd be ready to go.
Oh, man, yeah. I do have a original $6 million man lunchbox that I carried to school. Yeah, sitting here in the crack house.
That's right.
But, yeah, we went over there.
We did.
And when we got there, we noticed just a few people standing around, maybe one news crew when we got there.
I think there was two.
Okay.
One way back unloading and one set up.
Yeah, everybody was just getting there.
Yeah.
And there's no...
We don't know how long they had been there.
No, we couldn't tell.
You're right.
But it looked like at this property that they were on, there were several vehicles out there, maybe a Suburban and another SUV.
Yeah, 3 or 4. You couldn't really tell because standing across the road looking in, and we've seen drone shots since then. Of course, we were right beside the drone operator later, but But looking from where we were, it's really grown up, so it's kind of hard to tell how many people or how many vehicles
Yeah.
at the time, but I can see at least 4 or 5.
Very grown up area.
Yeah.
Very, yeah.
Especially from the road. Now, when you look at the overhead shots, it don't look not so much around the buildings, but it is very grown up around.
Yeah, but this property is the old North Brook School.
Yes.
That this property at the corner of Highway 274 and 182.
Yes.
Yeah.
They call it number 1 now because there's since been 2 more built, right? So there's
Yeah.
a 2 and a 3.
Correct. But this property was owned by the Dedmans.
Yeah. Roy Lee Devon.
Yeah, this was owned by the Roy Lee Dedman family, and it was sold in 2004.
Right. So it was owned by them from 1991 until 2004.
Okay, very cool.
Yes.
And this property has changed hands many times.
Yes.
And it is now reportedly owned by a bank. And this bank allowed investigators to search this property.
Yes.
They did. Now, when we got there, like we said, there were just a few people standing on the side of the road, and we could see searchers. They were dressed in orange shirts, long sleeve shirts, from what we could tell from that distance.
Yes.
And they looked like they had on green or dark green fatigue pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure they're briar-proof because they were walking in some heavy foliage there.
Yeah, they were.
If they didn't have, they would have been screaming.
Yeah, we could see them out there, and they had long sticks, and they were digging through the woods and the weeds and different things, just searching the property.
And they weren't just volunteers, you could tell. I mean, they definitely had firearms on their side, and they also had star badges on their belts.
They did.
So I don't know what arm of enforcement these guys were, if they were just like a land crew or whatever, but they did carry guns, so it was somebody important.
And it was reported that there were about 50 searchers there.
Yeah, well, it wasn't reported. We heard them say that when they were trying to see how many people they were going to this place. They were counting them. Then they got to 50, so there was maybe more, but there were at least 50.
Yeah, because at one point we were just right across the road. They were right there on the side of the road.
Yeah, and I'll post the photos. I took a bunch of pictures. We'll
yeah, they were right there on the side of the road.
Right there at us. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. But when we first got there, like I said, there was a couple news crews there, and the news crews, they had a drone. They sent that drone up.
Yes.
And they took several pictures of that you can find on, I think, maybe the WBTV website or the WCNC website. They'll have
yeah.
drone.
WBT for sure has them. I see them. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah. And when we got there, we walked up, and the news guy was waving to us.
Yes.
Hey, come over here. I want to talk to you.
Do you mind if we talk to you guys?
We thought it was just going to be a casual conversation.
Right.
But no, he put a camera in our face and a microphone in our hand.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. And he split us up.
Yeah. It was like interrogation. What the heck?
Yeah. Let's get your side of the story.
We're a team.
Yeah. And we got to talking to this guy. Dale was talking to one, and I was talking to another, and basically asked us how we knew about this going on today and what was going on and how
if we were local.
Yes,
Yeah.
and how far away we lived, and asking our names definitely and our phone numbers, getting a lot of information from us.
And why we were there.
Yeah, while we were there. And we told them that we were part of a podcast. We do a podcast
Yes,
on
we
this.
do.
And they seemed, after we told them that, it seemed like they perked up.
Yes.
They definitely wanted to hear what we had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt really good to be part of that, they're taking us serious anyway on what we do. I definitely appreciate it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was very, very, very cool, actually.
Yeah.
To be there in real time, to watch them going on.
But you were doing an interview with one news reporter, and I was doing another. What were some of the questions that he asked you?
They were asking us how we got involved, what was going on, and how long we had been following the story, and how involved we were, and what would it mean to the community to find something today, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty interesting, just to talk about it and just to keep the word out and just hope we can get something going for these Degree family, man.
Yeah. And they also asked me what they think they're looking for over there, and do they think they'll find anything, things like that.
Right.
And I was like, man, I really don't have any idea.
Yeah, what are they looking for? I'm like, well, I don't know. All we see is a lot of fellas in orange suits with large sticks going through the brush.
Yeah.
They were searching and then we saw several dogs, pulling dogs out to go check around, and like I said, they had drones and then a helicopter at one time.
The Channel 9 chopper came overhead. So at this point, maybe after about 30 minutes we were there, there was a lot of people coming through,
Yeah.
parking, standing on the side of the road.
Yeah, or driving by with cameras or their phones hanging out the window trying to do videos, and it was a pretty good bit of people there. A lot of traffic.
Yeah, it was. And then more news crews came up. The Queen City News lady came up and wanted to talk to us.
Yeah, Robin.
Yeah,
Robin
very, very nice lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right across the street from this is the brand new North Brook Fire Department over there. And, man, there were lots of law enforcement vehicles over there. And there was a backhoe and some other equipment. So it looked like they were staged and ready if anything was to go down.
But a little bit about this backhoe. Wasn't this backhoe on that schoolhouse property at one time?
Somebody told us that.
Yeah.
We didn't see it, but somebody said that they had driven through there and saw it there and knew that it's not usual for that to be there. It's
Correct.
very unusual, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we looked over, and then I do not know if it's the same one that was over at the fire department. I was just assuming that would probably be the place to keep it, because that's,
Yeah, they probably got cameras and they got people to look after it, and they won't be messing with anything.
and it wouldn't be in the way there, and if they need it, it's right there.
Yeah.
You don't have to, and it was already unloaded, so it was ready to go.
Sitting there on the ground, ready to go.
It wasn't on a trailer, right? Yeah.
Very, very, very true.
And there were lots of law enforcement vehicles over there at the fire department.
Mm-hmm. But the reporters kept asking me about the buildings. There's 3 buildings on that property from what we could tell.
Yes.
And, like I said, this is an old school, and we have no clue when the building was built.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember being a kid going over to this property, because they would, people who had the property, we're talking.
Yeah, and if anybody knows
50
who
years
listens to
ago.
us that are very local and you have more information on this property, please let us know, because we tried to find out, when it was built, when it was, when it was out of commission, when it was, no longer used as a school, I guess probably when they built North America number 2. I don't know, but yeah, chime in and let us know. I'm pretty curious about that.
Yeah, like I said, I used to go over there with my parents as a kid, and they would buy shrubs and flowers and different things.
So it was like a flea market or something?
Well, I think it was just for plants.
Oh.
Yeah, the people sold shrubs over there.
So maybe somebody was either knew the owners or rented the spot or just showed up and started selling. Something like that.
I was so young, I don't remember, but I remember being in a
Gotcha.
pretty big place where they sold plants.
Gotcha.
And going over there. But it was not a school then. And we talking, me being a kid, I'm almost 60 years old.
Right.
So you're talking maybe more than 50 years ago.
Well, it'd be a long time, because you can look at the property, it's not paved.
No.
So, that kind of give you a little bit of insight, I guess. And the buildings are in pretty rough shape, actually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was reported that the buildings on the inside are pretty rough. Maybe some squatters will go and stay in there, some homeless people.
Yeah, and we talked to the guy who lives in the property whose yard we were standing in, which
Right
is across the
road.
street.
Yes.
And he said that he don't see much people going over there. He thought maybe he'd see people going in and out of there doing drugs or whatever, which would probably be a good place to go hide and do it if you're going to do it. But he said it's pretty quiet, actually, and nobody'd ever bother him. He'd been living there a little over a year. And he just come out and talked to us and said he didn't mind nobody being in his yard and everything was cool. Some really nice guy. I think his name was Dale something, but I didn't catch it. He did an interview with somebody on TV too, so maybe we'll catch him there.
Yeah, But we could see, like you talked about, the dogs. They had the search dogs working.
Yeah.
Going all over the place.
So they had to be, I don't know. The other day we got a text that said they were looking at something maybe over at 12 Oaks in Shelby. And then that post kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it got took down.
We were told that somebody had asked for them to take that down, and that was just a couple of days ago. And then all of a sudden this pops up. So maybe that was on purpose to keep the word down a little bit in case something was going down. But I don't know. I don't know what they were looking for. But they were looking through some thick brush today.
Yeah, they were in deep stuff.
Yeah, it is very grown up. I'm talking 3-4 foot briars grown up, and they were going through that stuff with those sticks and poking and just going in line like grid searching.
And from our perspective, we could see them. We could barely see their orange shirts. We could just see the top of their heads.
Yeah, till they got out closer.
Coming up through that. That's how thick that brush was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was very fluorescent orange, like hunter orange, I guess.
Yeah, and they had, like I said, they had the long sleeve shirts on and the fatigue pants, like the army type pants that were thick. I guess the briar proof.
Yeah, more like a hunting pants, I think.
I would say so. Yeah, but these buildings, there's 3 buildings on that property, and they are pretty run down. The windows are knocked out. Weeds and vines growed up all over them.
Yeah.
You could, if you drive through there, you don't look, you could probably just miss them.
Yeah,
You pay attention.
And since we go through there, if you're going to go from our house, if you go over to Cherville or go to Lincoln or whatever, shout out L. McEvan. you know, we've went by there hundreds and hundreds of times. You never think about it, but it's always been just, you know, dilapidated buildings. You don't really think much about it.
But this is not in Cleveland County. This is right across the line in Lincoln County.
Right.
So it's not even Cleveland County property at all. So it makes it kind of interesting why they were over there.
Yeah, even though it's really close to us, it's kind of odd.
There's one thing that got me too. You know, we could see the guys over there in the orange shirts working and doing different things, and I really couldn't tell how many were there until they kept coming out of the woods and the weeds.
Yeah.
And they were just a bunch of guys.
And then they started going, well, how many you got over there? Well, how many you got over there? I don't know, is this too many to be here? We need to go around this way. And then they started counting, and then that's when they got over to 50.
Yeah, 50 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, working
at the weeds.
Yeah, and
around the buildings and everything.
Yeah, right on the side of the road. That's what kind of struck me.
Yeah, all the way out to the road. Yeah. So they weren't. I mean, they were looking. I don't know if they did the whole property, but it sure looked like it.
Maybe a grid search kind of thing.
I guess. I mean, because every time you'd see them, it would go somewhere and they would start up and then line up and then start going through the foliage.
Yeah.
And then with those sticks and poking and going there and looking and stop, and then they would, you know, get revamp and turn around and go to another spot and do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were looking for.
I know.
We just knew it was Asha Degree related.
It was Asha Degree related because Roy Lee Dedman and his family owned this property and sold it in 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was very surreal standing there watching all this going on, happening, and we were very fortunate to run into the ladies from South Point High School that we went down there. They actually came up.
Yeah, to watch as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, these things, like she said, she drove like 45 minutes to get there.
Yeah, it was very cool. But there were a lot of, like you said, a lot of people passing by with their cell phones out the window. You can see them kind of being secretive, take a picture or a video coming down the road.
Or stopping going, hey, what's going on out there?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe we'll be on TV. We just nosy and looking. I was like, well, we just kind of nosy and looking too, but we're here for a reason, yeah.
Yeah, but Dale and I were both interviewed by several TV news stations today.
Yeah,
so.
at least Queen City News, WBTV, WCNC, WCCB, and Spectrum News, all the ones I can remember.
Yeah.
No, everybody's great. I mean, just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very professional people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they stayed out of the way. They didn't bother anybody. They didn't get in the way of the search crews or anything like that.
Oh, no, for sure.
But when the search wound down, we could see, like I talked about, the guys coming out of the woods, and they just kept coming, and they got into a huddle over there next to the main road, the 274.
Right on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were all in a circle talking, and then they just left. They were gone. And the vehicles that were over there at the school, the Suburbans and the other vehicles they were all in, they left too. They were pulled out. They pulled out and left. Yeah.
So, and we knew they weren't going to tell us anything, but I mean, those guys wouldn't even look over toward us. I mean, I don't guess they're told not to or whatever, or don't interact or whatever. But even like if one would glance and you'd kind of give them a "how you doing" look or whatever, or a little hand wave, they wouldn't acknowledge.
I could see them glancing over to where we were standing across the road.
Right. Well, I mean, how can you not? It's like an audience over there.
Very true. Yeah, cars lined up all the side of the road, checking it out. But, you know, they've got to asking me about the Degree family and talking about that. You know, when I told them, I said, look, this is 25 years old, quarter of a century. And, you know, most people are really focused on the Dedmans. They're hounding that, beating that into the ground.
Especially since the search warrants in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and the Degree family are sort of not mentioned as much. You know, Asha's is mentioned, of course, but the Degree family, it's not so much. You know, Harold and Aquila, you know, I told that one reporter, said, they've had to do this 25 years, man.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the reason these people are out here searching.
Right. Yeah, and they asked me that too, and I was like, listen, I said, at the prayer walk, Aquila said, you know, a lot of people ask me all the time, how does it feel when stuff like this pops up and it reopens these old wounds? And she looked straight at us and she said, it don't reopen these wounds. These wounds have never closed.
That's right.
You know, so she said, you know, we're fortunate that they're out here working hard, and we know a little bit more than we did 25 years ago, but so we're just looking forward.
Is there anything else you saw there this morning that we need to tell people about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was just trying to take it all in. It was just really surreal to be there in real time and watch them go. You know, I mean, we don't know nothing. They didn't tell us anything. And I was just trying to take a few pictures and hopefully they would find something. But I didn't see anything to where they got really excited about anything or anything.
They probably wouldn't show it either anyway.
But it was kind of odd that they would search for a while and then they would call in a dog. You know, they would go out there and get the dog out and let him run a little bit and see what he could find out. So I don't know if that meant they thought they might have found something or if they just thought this was a better place for the dog to look instead of them.
Very true.
You know, so I would like to know more about how they go about and their procedures and what they're doing.
I did notice a big law enforcement vehicle presence across the road at the new fire department.
Oh, yeah, tons.
Yeah, a lot of...
And usually there's not many vehicles there at all. But the parking lot was full.
Yeah. So maybe they were using that as a little headquarters this morning.
Probably. I mean, it's a perfect spot.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty of parking. It's right across the street. They can go over and set up a command if that's what they want to do or whatever. And get everybody staged and probably have a meeting about what they're going to do and how we're going to do it. And then drove across the street. You know, there's 3 or 4 big SUVs parked up in there and then all those fellows in the orange shirts.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. But like Dale said, if anybody knows anything about this property, they're at 274 and 182.
Just about the history of the buildings, if anything else. I mean, I'm just really kind of all into it now. And I tried searching, but I couldn't find very much about it, but I'll look more later. But if anybody knows, please let us know.
And who owned the property, if they know about when Roy Lee owned the property or anything like that.
Right. Was this going on? Did they actually use this for like an assisted living or anything? Or has it just been totally dilapidated for the whole time? Or did he buy it for that reason? We don't know. We don't know anything. We're just speculating. But
yeah, why did they own it? And
I'm sure he bought it for a reason. Now, was it usable? I don't know.
No.
In 91, I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Could have been a little bit more.
I mean, I'm sure it hadn't been this bad for that long. 91's a long time ago, you know.
Yeah. Very true. But yeah, we wanted to come on today. We had something else planned to do, but we wanted to come on here and do this to give you guys an update because we're trying to stay on top of the H degree case. Everything
as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
We started to do a live from the spot, but since it was just this close, we just thought we'd come back right now while it's fresh in our minds and go ahead and pass on what's going on out there. And it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, it's about a little over 6 miles from right here at the crack house.
Right here at Ground Zero.
Yeah, we're recording.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild, man.
Not far at all.
But yeah, if anybody knows anything, please let us know something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But we'll post pictures of our time there this morning and
for sure.
And links to the news interviews if they put them out too.
Right.
They might not put them out, man.
They might not.
Because Ken Lemon from Charlotte News, he was there and he was editing. Yeah, I said, yeah, our stuff's probably gonna hit the cutting room floor.
But it was pretty cool. Walk up, and here, put the mic on, the whole works. It was neat.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, because me and Dale said we said we're going over there, so I just threw a shirt on, and the first shirt I grabbed was a Def Leppard shirt.
At least it's a tour shirt from Hysteria, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There
you
you
go. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of funny because I was like getting ready to leave, and he texted me, "You want to go over there?" And, hell, I'm going right now. Come pick me up. And I pull up, and you standing out there on the side of the road, and like jump in, and we rolling. So we took off and got her. We didn't know what we was going to see. We didn't even know if they would still be there by the time we got there because we didn't know how big a presence it was or what was going on or what they were looking for. But when we got over there, it was pretty exciting, I thought, because I never seen nothing like this.
Yeah.
Not actually to be there. Now, we went by when they were doing the searches over in September.
At 601 Cherville Road.
Yeah, we went by there, a couple of times. But as far as just to go over there and just get to stay there and watch it happen, we didn't do that.
Yeah, this up close and personal search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch them work. And there was a bunch of guys.
Yeah, it was amazing. All right, Dale, that's what we got, and we wanted to put this out to see.
We know it ain't a lot of information, but that's all we got, and we've got to bring it to you quick as we can.
Yep. All right, Dale, we're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Just please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is
the Crack House Chronicles.